Hollywood loved him for 40 years, but now they're running away from him. Bill Murray threw an ashtray at Richard Dreyfuss's head, made Lucy Liu cry on set, and kissed a young woman without her permission. It wasn't just one bad day, it was decades of abuse that no one dared talk about. Disney canceled a $20 million movie because of him, and his best friend wouldn't talk to him for 20 years. Now the truth is coming out, and it's much worse than anyone imagined. Bill Murray was born on September 21, 1950 in Evanston, Illinois. His mother worked in a mail room and his father sold lumber. Bill grew up in Wilmette, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, with 8 siblings. The house was loud, crowded, and always a little out of control. You had to speak up to be heard, which may be where his sense of humor began to form. His family was Irish Catholic, with roots in County Cork and County Galway in Ireland. Faith and family were important to him, but tragedy struck when he was only 17. His father died. His family lost their dad to complications from diabetes, and Bill lost the man he looked up to the most. As a teenager, Bill found comfort in reading books about American heroes like Davy Crockett. He also worked as a golf caddy to help pay for school. It was during those long hours on the course that he started to notice people in a way that would later come out in his comedy. After high school, he went to college in Denver to study pre-med, but something about it didn't feel right, he wasn't passionate about it. Later, the same school gave him an honorary degree for his contributions to culture rather than academics. Around this time, something happened that could have ruined everything. On his 20th birthday, Bill was arrested at Chicago's O'Hare Airport for trying to smuggle almost 10 pounds of marijuana. He had joked with another passenger that he had a bomb in his bag, which led to a search. He got probation instead of jail time, but the incident made him rethink his life. It was a turning point. Bill's older brother Brian Doyle Murray was already active in Chicago's comedy scene and asked him to join the Second City, a legendary comedy troupe known for launching major careers. Bill said yes, and that decision would change everything. At the Second City, Bill trained under Del Close, a mentor known for shaping comedy legends. Close encouraged actors to be honest, weird, and fearless, and it was with his help that Bill developed his signature deadpan style and learned to make even the most serious moments funny. During one performance, a heckler pushed him too far. The story goes that Bill broke the guy's arm, then bought him a beer and drove him to the hospital. That's the crazy energy he brought to the stage. In 1974, Bill moved to New York City and joined John Belushi's National Lampoon Radio Hour cast, which was full of future stars like Dan Arati, Gilda Rooney, Chevy Chase, and Harold Ramos. At the time, they were all unknowns just trying to make it. They were close and made each other laugh. It was the start of something much bigger. But before Bill got to NBC's Saturday Night Live, he went on a strange detour. In 1975, he was cast on a different show, ABC's Saturday Night Live with Howard Cosell. It was a prime-time variety show hosted by a sportscaster who had no experience in comedy. The show failed quickly, but Bill, his brother Brian, and Christopher Guest got experience on TV when NBC launched their version of Saturday Night Live. The ABC show's cast was called the Not Ready for Prime Time Players, which was a joke that stuck. In 1977, Bill joined NBC's SNL to replace Chevy Chase as host. It was hard to follow Chevy Chase's lead, as audiences were skeptical of his early sketches. Things were tense behind the scenes when Chevy returned to host in 1978. Bill reportedly called him a medium talent before the show started, and the two would fight again right after. The tension between them would continue for a long time. Bill kept going for years and created some of the show's most memorable characters. One of his biggest hits was Nick the Lounge Singer, a cheesy nightclub act who sang popular songs with ridiculous confidence. His version of the Star Wars theme song, complete with made-up lyrics, became famous. That character summed up everything that made Bill unique, dry, absurd, and oddly sincere. His time on SNL also brought him closer to Gilda Rauch. On screen, they played nerdy teens in a recurring sketch, and in real life, they were friends. Their relationship went through ups and downs like the characters, and they fought a lot, sometimes in front of the cast, but there was real love underneath it all. Bill once said that Gilda made him laugh more than anyone else. She could laugh so hard that she'd run out of the room and sometimes pee herself. They broke up, but Bill never forgot her. During his time on the show, Bill won an Emmy for writing, which gave him the credibility he needed to get into Hollywood quickly. His dry, offbeat humor stood out in a world of bigger, louder comedy. His time on SNL taught him how to work with characters and make people laugh without trying too hard. Years later, he won another Emmy, this time for drama, and went back to SNL for its 50th anniversary, where he sang as Nick the Lounge Singer again with a group of cast members from different generations. Afterward, he said he had cried 3 times while watching the tribute. Videos that night reminded him of where it all began for Bill Murray in the movies, a small comedy called Meatballs, which came out in 1979. It was cheaply made in Canada, and no one thought it would do very well, but when it hit theaters, it became a huge hit. It opened in just a few theaters in Toronto, but it made a lot of money right away, and it quickly spread across North America, making millions of dollars. It was the most successful Canadian movie of the time, and Murray got his first lead role in a big movie. His laid-back, sarcastic style quickly became his trademark. Meatballs was directed by Ivan Reitman, and it also helped him. This wasn't the last time Reitman and Murray worked together. Around this time, Murray also teamed up with writer and actor Harold Ramis to make some of the biggest comedies of the 1980s, including Caddyshack, Stripes, and later Ghostbusters. Ramos had a great sense of humor, and Murray had a natural way of delivering it. Their biggest hit was 1984's Ghostbusters, a crazy comedy about scientists who hunt ghosts that took the world by storm. But Murray didn't always have success. That same year, he wanted to do something different. He had read a serious book called The Razor's Edge and really wanted to make it into a movie. The studio wasn't sure, but Murray made a deal that he would star in Ghostbusters only if they paid for The Razor's Edge, which they did, but when it came out, people didn't connect with it. The movie didn't do well at the box office, and critics had mixed feelings about Murray's performance. Regardless, the failure hit him hard. After that, Murray disappeared from the public eye. He studied history and philosophy in Europe and spent time with his family. It was an unusual move for someone who had just become a huge star, but Murray needed a break. He didn't work on any major movies for years. When he finally came back with Scrooged and Ghostbusters 2, the reviews were mixed. Didn't go as planned, people liked the movies, but they didn't make as much money as he had hoped. As the 1990s started, he found himself in comedies that didn't do well, like Larger Than Life and The Man Who Knew Too Little. Studios started to wonder if he could still carry a film through it all. Murray became less involved with Hollywood. He didn't like how things worked behind the scenes, scripts didn't interest him, and he didn't want to play the same kinds of roles over and over. In a strange move, he stopped using any agents or handlers at all. Even big studios found it hard to get him roles. He admitted that he had become picky and almost lazy while waiting for the right ones to come along. In 1990, he tried something new. He co-directed and played the lead in the clever heist comedy Quick Change. Critics thought it was one of his smartest performances, but the movie didn't do well at the box office, which only made Murray's problems worse. Murray felt like Hollywood wasn't the right place for him anymore, but then Groundhog Day came out in 1993. It was the right movie at the right time. The story was funny and strange. A man keeps reliving the same day over and over again. It gave Murray a chance to show a deeper side. During filming, he argued a lot with director Harold Ramos. Ramos wanted it to be lighter, while Murray wanted it to be more serious. Things got so bad that they stopped talking and wouldn't talk again for a long time. Murray gave a complex performance that critics adored. The movie was a smash hit, and it reminded everyone why he was such a special talent. Groundhog Day changed everything for him. It showed that he could be more than just funny. It led to deeper roles later on, like in Lost in Translation, where he showed even more emotional depth. That movie would earn him an Oscar nomination. Looking back, Bill Murray's path through the 1980s and beyond wasn't easy. He didn't follow the typical path to fame. instead, he made his own path, taking big risks and stepping back when things didn't feel right. Bill Murray wasn't looking for a comeback, awards, or to prove anything. But in 1998, he met a young filmmaker named Wes Anderson, who had tried to get Murray to be in his first movie, Bottle Rocket, but Murray turned him down. Didn't work out, then came Rushmore. Anderson sent out the script, and within a week, Murray called the office of a Disney executive, which happened to be Anderson's office at the time. That call started a meeting, and soon they were meeting in person in Los Angeles. Murray took over the bar downstairs, danced around, and treated the whole team to steak. He wasn't just on board, he was in. And he didn't ask for a big paycheck either. Murray took the smallest possible salary. $9,000 because he believed in the script. He said it was about being kind even when things are hard. That stuck with him, and it showed in his performance in Rushmore, a side of him that audiences hadn't seen before, thoughtful, quiet, and emotionally raw. Anderson would later call him the godfather of that film for Murray. Before that, he was mostly known for being funny, the guy from Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, but he wanted more. He wanted roles with more depth. With Anderson's help, he got what he wanted. In The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, Murray played a man who was so emotionally shut down that he barely seemed alive. The character was an ocean explorer on a strange mission to hunt a shark that had killed his friend. Murray made the character feel both tough and totally vulnerable. This balance between humor and heartbreak became Murray's new strength. By 2004, Murray was one of Anderson's most trusted actors, along with Owen Wilson and Angelica Houston, and their relationship kept growing. Murray went on to appear in 10 movies. Murray saw more than 20 of Anderson's movies, and each time he brought something new to the table, sometimes broken, sometimes sweet, but always unexpected. Behind the scenes, their relationship kept changing. At a film premiere in Berlin years later, Murray talked about how far Anderson had come since Rushmore. He credited Anderson's partnership with producer Steve Rails, which began in 2007, for helping Anderson push his creative limits over time. Murray didn't need much direction. If something wasn't clear, he'd figure it out on his own. When Anderson moved into animation with Ice Isle of Dogs, Murray didn't think twice. He joined right away, even if it was just to do voice work. He kept the same energy and tone that made their live-action films so special, and when Anderson started working on a new project in 2024, Murray signed on right away, without being told anything about the plot. Their creative partnership turned heads from the start. After Rushmore, Murray won Best Supporting Actor at the Independent Spirit Awards, and critics across the country followed suit. He even got a Golden Globe nomination, and years later, the film was chosen by the Library of Congress to be preserved, which shows how much of an impact it had. Critics saw something new and special in Murray's performance. One said Anderson was smart not to make it too sentimental, while another praised how much heart Murray gave the story while keeping it sharp and quirky. Together, Murray and Anderson changed the course of each other's careers. Anderson became a unique filmmaker, and Murray was once just the funny guy. Bill Murray used to be known as the wisecracking goofball from movies like Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, but everything changed when he played an older actor stuck in Tokyo doing whiskey commercials and wondering what was wrong with his life in the 2003 movie Lost in Translation. It was a strange and lonely place, but that's where he met someone who understood him. The movie wasn't full of action or loud jokes. It was all about quiet moments, little looks, and feeling lost in both a city and your own life. It was made on a very small budget, but it became a huge hit, and Murray won his first and only Oscar for his performance, which critics said showed so much emotion without saying much. Nomination for Best Actor for Murray. This wasn't just a good role, it was a turning point. As award season began, Murray became the favorite. He won the Golden Globe, the BAFTA, and most of the critics' votes. It looked like the Oscar would also go to him, but on the big night, Sean Penn won for Mystic River. Murray later said he was surprised because he had won every other award and thought the Oscar was a sure thing. He said the loss taught him. Even though he didn't win the Oscar, that night reminded him not to chase trophies. Murray didn't slow down. he kept picking roles that were important to him, not just ones that paid well or promised fame. In Broken Flowers, he played a man who gets a letter saying he might have a son, which sends him on a journey to find out the truth. It was a quiet movie full of sadness and humor. In St. Vincent, he played an angry old man. These roles were different, but they all showed how deep and human Murray could be, even when he was playing a rough-around-the-edges character. He started working mostly with directors who knew how to use his style, like Wes Anderson and Jim Jarmusch. They saw what others had missed for years, that Murray could be more than funny, he could be real. In 2014, Murray made a surprising return to TV in Olive Kittage, a quiet miniseries on HBO. He wasn't in it for the attention. It was so good that he won an Emmy for playing a widower trying to connect with a new person. He started out on Saturday Night Live and then moved away from TV, so it felt like coming full circle. But this time, he came back as someone the audience saw differently, as someone deeper, more experienced, and more respected. Part of what makes Murray so interesting now isn't just the roles he chooses, but how he chooses them. He doesn't have an agent or manager, and he doesn't do business the Hollywood style. If a director wants to work with him, they have to find a special phone number, leave a message, and hope he checks it. He might call back in a week, or he might not. Some directors have said they missed out on casting him because they couldn't get in touch with him in time, but Murray doesn't mind. He wants to be chased, he wants to be interested. He once joked that if your script is good enough, you'll find a way to reach him. That's how he stays in charge, he keeps the world at bay. He will only move forward when something really moves him. Being tough is about protecting what's important, the work, the meaning behind it, and the right to say no. Bill Murray may have started out as the funny guy who always had a joke, but now he's more than that. He's become a symbol of what it means to grow, to take risks, and to care deeply about the stories you tell. Bill Murray isn't just a famous actor, over the years he's become more like a walking myth. Not only for his movies, but also for the way he sneaks into people's lives, does something weird or funny, and then disappears as if nothing happened. One of the most famous stories is about a man eating fries in Times Square in 2010 when Murray just walked up, took 2 fries without asking, and told him calmly, "No one will ever believe you." He said that one sentence after covering a stranger's eyes from behind, after appearing out of nowhere, and then he was gone. It's like he's in on a joke that everyone else only hears secondhand. Bill Murray has been one of Hollywood's most famous actors for a long time, but many people say a different story behind the scenes. Some say he was funny and brilliant, while others say he was impossible to work with. Richard Dreyfuss told one of the most shocking stories about Murray while they were filming What About Bob? In 1991, Dreyfuss gave Murray a revised script, but Dreyfuss said Murray had been drinking and wasn't reading it. Murray then yelled at Dreyfuss, "Everyone hates you, you are tolerated," and Dreyfuss said Murray picked up a heavy glass ashtray and threw it at him. Luckily, it missed. Years later, Murray denied throwing it at Dreyfuss, saying he threw it at the ceiling, but the film's producer Laura Ziskin backed up Dreyfuss's story, saying Murray had once broken her sunglasses and threatened to throw her across a parking lot. And even threw her into a lake. Lucy Liu had her own story from the Charlie's Angels set in 2000. She said Murray used language that was unacceptable and couldn't be explained. It happened after Murray wrote new lines and gave them to the crew without telling anyone. When Liu told him it wasn't his job, Murray allegedly said something insulting like, "I gave you more lines, look who you're in with your TV, this is the big league." Murray didn't come back for the sequel because Liu wouldn't be quiet. Years later, Drew Barrymore praised Liu for standing up for herself. Geena Davis also had a disturbing experience while filming Quick Change in 1990. She said Murray screamed at her in front of a crowd because she was late, and she also talked about an incident during her audition that still bothers her. Murray pulled out a massage tool called the Thumper and insisted on using it on her. She said no. Later, on the Arsenio Hall show, Davis said Murray touched her arm and even tried to pull down her dress strap while she was on air. At the time, Davis tried to laugh it off, but she now thinks it was horrible. When asked about her stories in 2025, Murray called them ridiculous and said people were trying to make him look like a monster. But one of the longest and saddest fights was between Murray and Harold Ramis, his longtime friend and co-worker. They had made hits like. They got into a fight over the tone of the movie during Groundhog Day. Murray wanted it to be serious and thoughtful, while Ramos wanted it to be funny. The fight got physical, and Ramos even grabbed Murray by the collar and pushed him against a wall, which was completely out of character for him. After that, Murray would call Ramos late at night to argue about the script, and when Ramos tried to respond, Murray would disappear. They didn't talk for 20 years, and Ramos was devastated. According to reports, Murray got too close to a much younger crew member on set while filming Being Mortal, a movie directed by Aziz Ansari. They were near a prop bed when Murray allegedly climbed on top of her and kissed her through their COVID masks. She said she was terrified and couldn't move because of his weight. Someone else saw it happen and also filed a complaint, and the studio shut everything down right away. Production stopped the movie. In an interview in 2025, Murray told his side of the story. He said he thought it was funny and that he'd done the mask kissing thing before and people laughed. He also said that the woman wasn't a stranger and that they'd had lunch together a few times. He didn't think it was serious. He says it still seems silly to him, but he also says he thinks about it a lot. He also says he was treated unfairly by the press and that he got a grilling. Murray ended up settling with the woman later that year. Even though the damage was only $100,000, the movie was cancelled, and the cast and crew lost their chance to finish it. These people had spent years planning it and millions of dollars on it. Murray still says the whole thing was. He blamed what he called pre-existing conditions, but he didn't say what that meant. He also said that Disney's rules were stricter than those in most countries, which some saw as an attempt to shift the blame to someone else, while others thought it showed that he still didn't understand why what he did was so bad.